The cold metal floor of the alien ship was silent, except for the soft sound of chains dragging. In the corner of a dim cell, a young alien girl sat with her knees pulled to her chest. Her skin carried strange glowing marks, once symbols of pride in her people, but now dulled with shame. Her thin arms trembled as she hugged herself tightly. She whispered again and again as if repeating a curse. "Don't touch me. I'm dirty, useless, shameful." Her voice was weak, cracked like broken glass. For days she had been locked here, treated like she was not even alive, not even worthy of pity. Her own people had abandoned her, leaving her chained and silent. She believed she was nothing but a burden, a mistake of existence. The sound of heavy boots echoed in the corridor. She flinched. Someone was coming. She tried to hide her face behind her hands, but the chains pulled at her wrists, clinking loudly. Her heart raced. She expected another guard, another cruel laugh, another insult to remind her of what she already believed, that she was worthless. But this time, it was not an alien guard. A tall figure stepped into the cell. His uniform was torn from battle, dust and blood covering his arms. He was human. His eyes were sharp yet tired, eyes that had seen too many battles, too much loss. In his hand he carried no whip, no chains. Instead, he simply looked at her. The alien girl turned away quickly, whispering again, "Don't touch me. I'm dirty, useless, shameful." The human took a slow step forward. He had heard those words before from others who had been broken, abandoned, and treated as less than human. But something about the way she said it struck deeper, as if her very soul had been taught to hate itself. He crouched down to her level. The chains rattled as she shifted away, her glowing marks pulsing faintly with fear. He did not move closer. He only spoke. "You are not dirty." The words hit her ears like a strange sound she had never heard before. She froze, confused. "You are not useless." His voice was firm, almost angry at the idea. Her breath trembled. No one had ever said this to her. No one had ever denied her shame. The human's eyes softened as he leaned slightly closer. "You are not shameful. To me, you are precious." Her glowing eyes widened. Precious? That word felt impossible, unreal. How could someone see her as anything but broken? She shook her head quickly, tears forming in the corners of her eyes. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I bring nothing but pain. I failed everyone. I'm nothing." The human reached into his pocket. Slowly, carefully, he pulled out a small cloth and placed it on the ground near her. He did not touch her. He did not force her. He simply left it there within her reach. "It's your choice," he said softly, "but I see something in you. Something worth saving." The alien girl stared at the cloth. It was such a simple thing, but to her it felt heavier than chains. Someone cared if she wiped her tears. Someone cared if she healed. Her heart screamed at her to push it away. She wanted to believe she was nothing. It was safer that way. If she was useless, no one could ever expect anything from her again. But his eyes, those human eyes, did not carry the cold judgment she was used to. They carried warmth even in the darkness of the cell. The silence stretched. She reached out slowly, her hand trembling as she touched the cloth. Tears fell freely now, dripping onto the dirty floor. She tried to hide them, but the human's voice broke through again. "Cry if you must," he said gently, "but don't ever call yourself useless again." Her chains clinked as her shoulders shook. She could not understand why he cared, why a stranger would see her as precious. But in that moment, for the first time in years, she felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. The camera of the story would linger on her face, her eyes shining through tears, the chains around her wrists still heavy but no longer invisible. In the darkness of the alien ship, something small but powerful was born. Not freedom, not yet, but the first spark of it. And the audience is left wondering, who is this human? Why does he see her as precious when even she cannot? The suspense deepens, pulling them forward to the next chapter. The human soldier remained in the cell, his shadow stretching across the cold metal floor. The alien girl had taken the cloth he offered, but her hands still trembled. She wiped her tears slowly, as if she feared even the act of cleaning herself was forbidden. He watched her carefully, not with the eyes of a master or captor, but with the patience of someone who understood brokenness. He had seen war destroy many souls, but this girl, she was different. Her glowing marks, once sacred, were dim like fading stars. At last, she whispered, her voice fragile. Why would you speak to me like that? Don't you see what I am?" The human leaned back slightly, resting against the wall. I see someone who has been hurt. Not someone who is worthless. She shook her head quickly as if rejecting his words. The chains rattled against the floor. You don't know me. You don't know the things I did. The things they said. My people threw me away. Even my family turned their eyes. Her voice cracked into silence. The soldier studied her face, noticing how she avoided his gaze. He understood. Shame was a prison stronger than chains. He knew that if he wanted to free her, he had to fight not only her captors, but also the voice inside her that told her she was nothing. Listen to me, he said slowly, firmly. You are not the words they forced into your mind. You are not their chains. You belong to yourself. Her breath caught in her throat. Belonged to herself? That thought was like light breaking through a door she thought would never open. But before she could answer, heavy footsteps echoed again in the corridor. The girl flinched, pulling her knees close. Fear returned to her eyes. The human soldier rose to his feet. His hand tightened around the hilt of his weapon. 2 alien guards entered, their armor shining under the dim lights. They sneered when they saw her holding the cloth. So the trash thinks she deserves kindness? One guard spat. His voice was sharp, like metal scraping. He stepped forward and kicked the cloth from her hands. The girl gasped and shrank back. The second guard laughed cruelly. Even chained, she pretends to be worthy. Pathetic. The human moved before they could touch her. He stepped between them and the girl, his broad frame blocking their path. His voice was low but dangerous. Don't touch her. The guards exchanged a look, then barked out laughter. And who are you to command us, human? I'm the one who will break your arms if you try, he said coldly. The laughter stopped. Tension filled the air. The alien girl stared at his back in shock. No one had ever stood between her and her tormentors. She expected him to step aside, to let them do as they pleased. But he didn't move. His stance was unshaken, as if he had already decided something long before they entered. The guards drew their weapons, glowing blades that hissed with energy. Move, human! She is property. Useless property. The word useless struck her again like a knife in her chest. She lowered her head, whispering once more, Don't fight for me. I'm not worth it. But the soldier did not turn around. He lifted his weapon, steady and sure. To me, she is worth more than you'll ever be. The words hit her harder than any insult. Her eyes widened. Her hands shook. She could not understand why he was saying this. The fight was brutal. The guards struck first, their blades slashing through the air. The human blocked one strike, the clash echoing like thunder in the cell. He kicked the second guard back, slamming him into the wall. Sparks flew as metal met metal. The girl covered her ears, trembling, her glowing marks pulsing with fear. She wanted to scream for him to stop, to let them win so he wouldn't be hurt. But she couldn't form the words. Moments later, silence returned. Both guards lay unconscious on the ground, their weapons scattered. The human breathed heavily but remained standing, his weapon steady. He turned back to her. His eyes softened again as if the fight hadn't even happened. You're safe now. Her lips parted but no sound came. She had no words for what she just saw. Safe. That word felt foreign, impossible. She didn't believe in safety. She didn't believe in protection. And yet there he was, standing like a wall between her and her nightmares. Finally she whispered, Why do you protect me? He walked closer, kneeling once again so his eyes met hers. His voice carried both strength and sadness. Because no one protected me once, and I swore I'd never let it happen to someone else. Tears welled in her eyes again. She wanted to believe him, but her heart still fought against hope. Still something inside her shifted, something small but real. He reached for the chains, examining the locks. I'm not leaving you here. Her breath caught. No, you can't. If they see, they will kill you. He gave a small smile. Let them try. The story camera would close here on his hands, gripping the chains. The girl staring at him with wide eyes torn between fear and a flicker of belief. The suspense now grows. He has chosen to free her. But what will happen when the full weight of her captors comes crashing down on them? The cell was quiet again, the 2 alien guards lying unconscious on the floor. The human soldier knelt in front of the girl's chains, his eyes fixed on the heavy locks. His hands were scarred from countless battles, but his touch was careful as he traced the cold metal. The girl pulled back slightly, shaking her head. Don't free me. You don't understand. The soldier looked up at her, his face calm but determined. I understand enough. Chains like these don't belong on anyone. Her glowing eyes widened. If you break them, they will come. More guards, stronger ones, and when they catch you, they will hurt you, all because of me. He gave a faint smile, one corner of his mouth lifting. I've been hurt before. It doesn't scare me anymore. Her heart raced. Why was he like this? Why didn't he leave her like everyone else did? He pulled a small device from his belt, a tool he had taken from the wreckage earlier. With a low hum, it sparked against the lock. The girl flinched at the sound, memories rushing through her mind. Guards mocking her, chains tightening, her own people's voices whispering that she was nothing but shame. Stop, she whispered, her voice breaking. Please, you don't know what I've done. The soldier paused, his tool hovering over the lock. Then tell me, her lips trembled. She wanted to stay silent. The truth was poison. She believed that if he heard it, he would leave her too. Still, the words fell out. I failed them, she said softly. I was supposed to be special. My family said I carried a gift, a light that would make them proud. But when the war came, I couldn't control it. I couldn't save anyone. Instead, I destroyed everything. Her eyes filled with tears. They called me cursed, dirty, ashamed of my bloodline. So they gave me away, chained me here so I would never hurt anyone again. The soldier listened in silence. He didn't move. He didn't turn his eyes away. At last he spoke, his voice steady. I've heard this story before. Different faces, different names. People who were told they were a curse, when really they were the only ones with hope. The girl froze. No one had ever said that to her. No one had ever dared to believe she could be anything but shame. The soldier pressed the tool to the lock again. With a spark and a snap, the first chain broke. She gasped, pulling her freed hand close to her chest. She stared at him, fear and awe mixing in her glowing eyes. Why are you doing this? I told you. I'm dangerous, he shook his head. No, you're not dangerous. The ones who chained you are. He moved to the second lock. The girl's thoughts spiraled. She remembered the day she lost control. The bright light, the screams, the way even her parents turned their backs on her. She remembered the guards laughing, calling her useless while dragging her into the shadows. And yet here was this human, risking everything to free her. The second chain fell away. Her legs were free now, but she didn't move. She sat frozen, staring at him as if he were unreal. He looked at her once more. Do you want to stay here? Or do you want to walk out with me? Her lips parted. She wanted to say no, to warn him again, but deep inside a spark flickered. A part of her long buried wanted to believe she could walk free. Slowly, almost against her own fear, she whispered, with you. The soldier nodded once as if he had been waiting for that answer. He broke the final lock. The chains clattered to the floor, the sound echoing like thunder in the empty cell. The girl stared at her wrists, at the faint glowing scars where the shackles had cut her skin. She touched them gently as if not believing they were real. She looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. What if I lose control again? His eyes were steady, his voice like iron. Then I'll stand with you. No matter what happens, her breath shook. For the first time, someone wasn't afraid of her gift or her curse. Suddenly, a siren blared through the ship. Red lights flashed across the corridor. The unconscious guards had triggered the alarm before falling. The soldier stood quickly, his weapon ready. They're coming. The girl clutched her arms, fear flooding her again. The chains were gone, but she still felt them inside her. Could she really walk? Could she really fight? He glanced back at her. Stay close to me. Her glowing marks pulsed faintly, responding to her racing heart. She rose shakily to her feet. For the first time in years, she was unchained. But freedom brought more than danger. It brought secrets, secrets she had tried to bury. Powers she feared to unleash. And as the sound of armored boots thundered down the corridor, the girl realized something terrifying. Her gift was waking again. The red lights flashed across the corridor as the alarm screamed through the alien ship. The girl's heart pounded so loudly she thought the guards would hear it even before they arrived. Her glowing marks pulsed nervously, betraying her emotions. For so long she had been hidden in chains. Now, without them, she felt naked, weak, exposed. The human soldier moved quickly, his steps steady and confident. He glanced back at her once, his voice firm. Stay close. Her legs trembled as she tried to follow. Every step felt unreal. The floor under her bare feet was strange. She was used to sitting on cold metal, not walking on it. Her body was free, but her mind whispered, You shouldn't be here. You don't deserve to be free. She stumbled, grabbing the wall. The human caught her before she fell. His strong hand steadied her. One step at a time, he said gently. Her throat tightened. She wanted to tell him she couldn't do this, but his eyes gave no room for doubt. They told her she had to try. The sound of boots echoed closer. Shouts filled the corridor. The soldier pulled her behind him, raising his weapon. We can't stay here, move. They darted into a side passage. The girl's breathing was heavy, every shadow making her flinch. She remembered this place too well. The long halls where she had been dragged in chains, the rooms where whispers of shameful useless followed her. Now she was walking free, yet fear clung to her like a second skin. Where are we going? She whispered. Off this ship, he replied without hesitation. Her eyes widened. Escape? That's impossible. No one escapes. He looked over his shoulder, his voice low but strong. Then we'll be the first. His words sent a strange warmth through her chest. He spoke as if it were simple, as if nothing was impossible. She followed him, her bare feet silent compared to his boots. They turned into another corridor. Suddenly 2 armed guards appeared, blocking their way. Their weapons gleamed under the flashing red lights. There, one shouted. The traitor! The girl froze, shame burning in her veins. Traitor. That word had followed her like a shadow. But the soldier stepped forward, his weapon raised. No, he growled. She's with me. The guards lunged. Blades hissed through the air. The fight was brutal, metal clashing, sparks flying. The girl pressed against the wall, her glowing marks flickering wildly. She wanted to help, but fear chained her in place. Then, for a brief moment, one guard turned his weapon toward her. Instinct roared inside her chest. Light flared from her skin, a pulse of raw energy. The guard was thrown back, slamming into the wall. His blade clattered to the floor. She gasped, clutching her arms. She hadn't meant to do it. She didn't even know she could. The other guard stared in shock. The human wasted no time. He knocked the stunned guard unconscious with a swift strike. Silence fell again, broken only by the blaring alarm. The soldier turned to her. You did that? She shook her head quickly, trembling. I didn't mean to. It just happened. He stepped closer, lowering his weapon. Don't fear it. That power, it's yours. It's not a curse. Tears stung her eyes. No, it's the reason I'm hated. The reason they call me dirty. He placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and warm. No, it's the reason you're alive. The reason you're different. Don't ever believe their lies. Her chest tightened. For years, her power was a mark of shame. Now, for the first time, someone called it a reason to live. They continued down the corridor, moving quickly. The girl tried to keep her steps strong, but inside she still fought with herself. Part of her wanted to trust him. Another part whispered she would only bring him pain. At last, they reached a wide chamber filled with broken crates and old machinery. The soldier signaled her to stop. We'll rest here. Just for a moment. She leaned against a wall, her body weak. Her mind swirled with memories of her family's rejection, the cruel voices of the guards, and the strange warmth of this human's words. Why? She finally whispered. Why do you keep helping me? You don't even know me. The soldier sat across from her, his weapon resting at his side. His voice was calm. Because I don't need to know everything. I can see enough. You're worth fighting for. Her breath caught. She wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Deep inside, a tiny part of her wanted to believe him. The alarm still echoed, and heavy steps were approaching once again. The human stood, his eyes sharp. They'll never stop coming. But I won't stop either. The girl slowly rose to her feet. Her glowing marks pulsed faintly, not with fear this time, but with something new, something dangerous yet hopeful. She looked at him, her voice soft but stronger than before. Then I'll stay with you. Until the end. The soldier nodded, a rare smile touching his lips. That's all I ask. Together they moved toward the next corridor, shadows and light dancing across their path. For the first time, the girl was not just being led. She was walking beside him. The journey had begun, and though fear still lived in her heart, something else lived there too, something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. The echo of the alarm still filled the alien ship. Red lights washed over the walls like waves of blood, guiding hunters to their prey. Somewhere in the distance, the pounding of armored boots grew louder. The girl knew what it meant. They were coming for her. They always came for her. Her glowing marks pulsed with unease. They won't stop, she whispered, her voice breaking. They'll never stop until I'm back in chains. The human soldier walked ahead, his weapon ready. His jaw was tight, but his voice remained steady. Then we'll give them a reason to regret chasing us. She followed him, her steps shaky but determined. Yet inside, her fear twisted like a knife. For years she had been told she was useless. She believed it. And now, with every shout of "Find the traitor" echoing through the halls, her heart sank deeper. They entered a large chamber filled with tall glass tubes, each glowing faintly with strange liquid. The place smelled of chemicals and rust. Broken experiments. Failed projects. To the girl, it was familiar. She had been dragged through here before, mocked as another failed creation. Suddenly, voices rang out behind them. Guards stormed into the chamber, their eyes sharp with hate. "There she is," one shouted. "The shame of her kind." The girl froze. The word burned into her skin like fire. Shame. Another guard sneered. She should have died with the others. Instead, she hides behind a human. Her chest tightened, her breath shallow. Their words were chains heavier than metal. Her knees trembled and she lowered her head. "They're right," she whispered. "I bring nothing but ruin." The soldier turned sharply, his eyes blazing. "Don't listen to them." But the guards were relentless. "She's a curse. She'll destroy you, human." "Let her go before it's too late." The girl wanted to believe him, but doubt clawed at her. What if they were right? What if freeing her only brought him death? The soldier stepped forward, his voice sharp as steel. "You're wrong. She isn't your curse. She's your fear." The guards laughed cruelly, their weapons glowing. "Then both of you will die together." The fight erupted. Energy blades hissed, sparks flying as steel clashed. The soldier moved like a storm, blocking and striking with precision. He was strong, but there were too many of them. The girl pressed against the wall, trembling. Her marks glowed brighter with her fear. She remembered the moment she had lost control years ago, when light burst from her and destroyed everything she loved. The memory was a wound that never healed. One guard broke through the soldier's defense and charged at her. His blade raised high. "No!" the soldier shouted, trying to reach her. But before the strike landed, her body reacted on its own. A surge of energy erupted from her skin, blasting the guard back across the chamber. He hit the glass tube with a crash, shattering it. Green liquid poured out, and the guard lay unconscious among the shards. The girl gasped, clutching her arms. Her body shook as if she had done something terrible. I didn't mean to." The soldier blocked another attack and shouted, "You saved yourself. Don't fear it." But her fear was greater than her strength. She dropped to her knees, her hands shaking violently. "It will happen again. I'll lose control. I'll hurt you." He forced the last guard back with a heavy strike, then grabbed her shoulders firmly. His eyes burned into hers. "Listen to me. You didn't destroy me. You saved me. You're not a curse. You're power, and they're terrified of it." Her tears fell, mixing with the dirt on her face. She searched his eyes, desperate for lies, but found none. His words were raw, unshaken. He believed her worth even when she couldn't. Another wave of guards poured into the chamber. The soldier stood tall, pulling her behind him. His voice dropped low but strong. "They'll keep coming, but they won't take you again." The girl's marks glowed brighter, no longer only with fear, but with something deeper, something beginning to rise. The guards roared and charged. The soldier raised his weapon, ready to fight even if it cost his life. But the girl stepped forward. Her voice was small but steady. "No more chains." Light flared from her body, spreading across the chamber like a storm. The guards shielded their eyes, stumbling back in shock. The soldier glanced at her, awe in his eyes. For the first time, she wasn't hiding her power. When the light faded, the guards lay stunned, unable to rise. The girl collapsed to her knees, gasping. Her strength was drained, but her heart was pounding with something new. Courage. The soldier knelt beside her, steadying her with his arm. "You see? You're stronger than you believe." She shook her head, her voice trembling. "But what if I lose myself completely?" He met her gaze. "Then I'll be there to bring you back." Her tears fell freely now, but they weren't only tears of fear. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe. Maybe she wasn't useless. Maybe she wasn't shameful. Maybe she could be precious. The footsteps of more soldiers echoed in the distance. The fight wasn't over. The enemies were still awakening, stronger and angrier than before. But so was she. The corridors of the alien ship shook with the sound of distant footsteps. More guards were coming. The human soldier tightened his grip on his weapon, his breath steady despite the danger. Beside him, The alien girl leaned against the wall, her glowing mark still pulsing faintly after the blast of energy she had unleashed. Her hands trembled as she stared at them. That power, it's not supposed to be mine. It destroys everything it touches. The soldier shook his head firmly. No, it saved us. Don't fear it, her voice broke. You don't understand. This power, it killed my people. I couldn't control it. I burned them. My own family turned their backs on me. They said I was cursed by the stars. The soldier stepped closer, kneeling so his eyes met hers. Listen to me. Curses don't save lives. Curses don't fight chains. What you carry isn't shame, it's strength. The girl lowered her head, torn between his words and the voices of her past. She could still hear her family's cries, still see their eyes filled with fear. How could she believe she was strength when her very existence had been called a mistake? The sound of more boots thundered closer. The soldier helped her stand. We can't stay here. But before we move, I need you to hear me. That power is not your enemy. The ones who chained you, they feared it. That's why they broke you with lies. Her eyes widened. The thought struck her like lightning. Had she been chained not because she was dangerous, but because she was powerful? They hurried into a maintenance corridor, narrow and dim. The ship groaned as alarms echoed overhead. The girl followed close, her bare feet silent, her heart pounding with confusion. At last, they entered a small chamber filled with star maps and strange devices. The soldier locked the door behind them and set down his weapon. He turned to her, his voice calmer now. Tell me everything you know about your gift. She hesitated, clutching her arms. It began when I was very young. My skin, it glowed brighter than the others. The elders whispered that I carried the light of the first flame. They believed I would heal the sick, bring hope to our kind. But when I tried, it went wrong. Instead of healing, I destroyed. Fire instead of light. Death instead of life. After that, they called me shameful. They chained me so I would never try again. Her tears fell silently. I believed them. I believed I was nothing but ruin. The soldier studied her for a long moment. His eyes softened, but his voice was steady. They lied. You weren't destroying. You were unfinished. You were untrained. Power like that, it doesn't vanish, it grows. And if they feared it, it means they knew the truth. She blinked at him, her lips parting. The truth? He nodded. Your power is not meant to destroy. It's meant to heal. But fear twists everything. They feared you might rise above them, so they buried your gift under shame. Her heart shook violently. Could it be true? Could her gift, the very thing that cursed her, be the one thing that could save? Before she could speak, the sound of pounding fists hit the locked door. Guards shouted outside. Time was running out. The soldier grabbed her shoulders firmly. Listen to me. I've seen enough battles to know this. Sometimes the weapon we fear most is the one we need. You're not cursed. You're a flame. And flames can burn, or they can warm. Her glowing marks pulsed brighter than before. She stared at her hands, trembling. If what you say is true, then maybe I could... Yes, he urged. You could heal. Not just wounds, maybe even yourself. Tears blurred her vision. For years she believed she was worthless. Now for the first time she dared to imagine something else, that she could be precious. The door shook harder. Sparks flew as the guards tried to cut through. The soldier stood ready, but his eyes never left her. This is your choice, not mine. Will you keep believing their lies, or will you believe in yourself? Her chest rose and fell quickly, her breath trembling. The voices of her past screamed at her, useless, dirty, shameful. But another voice, his voice, cut through them. Precious. She stepped forward, her marks glowing brighter. Energy pulsed in her chest, wild but no longer uncontrolled. She raised her hands toward the door. The guards burst through just as her power flared. But instead of fire, a wave of light swept across the chamber. The guards staggered, their weapons falling from their hands as their wounds healed and their anger dulled. They fell to the ground, not dead but unconscious, at peace. The girl gasped, her body shaking. I didn't destroy them. The soldier smiled, relief softening his face. No, you healed them, just like you were meant to. Her tears streamed down freely, but they were different tears, not only of pain, of hope. For the first time, she had used her power not as a curse, but as a gift. And though the ship still shook with alarms, though more enemies were coming, something inside her had finally changed. The truth was revealed. The truth was revealed. She was not shameful. She was not useless, she was precious. The alarms had not stopped. The alien ship trembled as heavy footsteps filled the halls. Reinforcements were pouring in, dozens, maybe hundreds. The human soldier stood tall, his weapon ready, but even he knew this fight was bigger than him alone. Beside him, the alien girl's glowing marks pulsed steadily, brighter than ever before. She had healed enemies just moments ago, but her strength was fading. Her body was weak, yet her spirit felt alive for the first time. The soldier glanced at her. We're almost out. But this last battle, it won't be easy. Her eyes widened, fear returning. I don't know if I can. You can, he said firmly. His voice carried no doubt. You're stronger than you think. And you're not alone. Her chest tightened. For years she had fought her shame alone. Now someone stood beside her, willing to risk his life for her. The heavy door at the end of the chamber burst open. Elite guards stepped through, their armor black and sharp, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. At their front stood a towering commander, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. There she is, he growled. The failed one. The shame of our people. You dare walk free? The girl flinched. His words hit like whips. Failed. Shame. The voices she had carried for years. But before she lowered her head, the human stepped forward, placing himself between her and the commander. His voice was steady, cold with fury. She's not shame. She's precious. And I'll prove it, the commander sneered. Precious? To us, she's filth. To you, human, she will be your death. The clash began. Blades hissed, sparks flew, the chamber roared with the sound of battle. The soldier fought fiercely, every strike precise, every block fueled by determination. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming. The girl pressed against the wall, her glowing marks flaring with fear. She wanted to help, but doubt gnawed at her. What if she lost control again? What if she hurt him? Then she saw him stumble. The commander's blade slashed across his arm, drawing blood. The soldier gritted his teeth, refusing to fall, but she saw the pain in his eyes. Her heart screamed. Stop, she cried. The commander turned to her, his laughter cruel. There is the cursed girl. Do you see, human? Even now she trembles. She is nothing. Tears blurred her vision. But this time something rose above the tears. Something fierce. She remembered the soldier's words. You are not their chains. You belong to yourself. She stepped forward. Her glowing marks flared like fire, filling the chamber with light. I am not nothing, she whispered. Her voice grew louder. I am not shame. I am not useless. I am precious. Her power exploded outward. Light flooded the room, blinding the guards. The commander staggered back as the energy surged, but unlike before, it did not burn out of control. It flowed steady and strong, wrapping around the soldier, healing his wound, giving him strength. He looked at her, awe in his eyes. You found it. She nodded through her tears. Because you believed in me. The guards attacked again, but this time the girl raised her hands. A wave of light swept across them, knocking weapons from their hands, disarming their hate. Not death, not destruction, balance, the commander roared, charging at her. His blade glowed with deadly power, but the soldier blocked him, holding him back with everything he had. Now, he shouted. The girl closed her eyes, focusing. Her marks glowed brighter than ever before, filling the chamber with warmth. She unleashed her gift, not with fear, but with belief. The energy burst forward, striking the commander. His armor shattered, his weapon fell, and he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Silence fell. The alarm still screamed, but the chamber itself was still. The enemies lay defeated. The soldier lowered his weapon, breathing heavily. He turned to her, his eyes soft with pride. You did it. She fell to her knees, exhausted. I didn't destroy this time. I saved you. He knelt beside her, lifting her gently into his arms. His voice was soft, almost a whisper. You've always been able to save. You just needed to see it. Her tears fell against his chest, but this time they were not only tears of pain. They were tears of release. For the first time she felt light, not cursed, not chained. She looked up at him, her voice trembling. All this time I thought I was dirty, useless, shameful. But you held me like I was precious. He smiled faintly, brushing dirt from her face. Because you are. Her chest ached, but it was not from shame anymore. It was from hope. She whispered, then I'll never forget. Not as long as I live. He nodded, standing with her in his arms as the ship shook around them. More battles waited, more dangers ahead. But she was no longer the broken girl in chains. She was the flame. She was precious.